Alright, so today is August 11th, 2025, and it is 9:23 p.m. So it is the overnight market. And today I am down 0.57%. Looks like my Roth IRA is going to be up 0.51%. And this is on a day where the NASDAQ was down about 0.3%, but now slightly up in the overnight market. And if we take a look at the top stocks that are in my account currently, looks like Robinhood was green earlier today, but then right before market close, for some reason, Robinhood just drops. Nike, it dropped early on, but then slowly climbed back up throughout the day. Palantir looks like it was somewhat flat, and then it finished today at negative 2%. And Pepsi is just being Pepsi. SoFi is actually up about 2% today, which is pretty surprising on a day where Robinhood is slightly red. Palantir is down 2%. You would think that SoFi would be down, but oddly enough, it is up. And this isn't the first day, or this isn't the only day where the market was red and SoFi was up. I believe I can't remember what the other day was. I'm sure you guys can comment it. But I really have been impressed by the strength in SoFi stock price. And if we take a look at my IRA, it acted pretty strange today. In the pre-market, it was down almost 5%, mostly because of the AMD NVIDIA news, where they had to share, I believe it was 15% of their revenue to China. They have to share that with the government, the American government, and then it was up over 4%, and now it's basically stabilizing. I finished flat today, but then in the overnight market, it looks like it's slightly up. And AMD, these are our total returns. Let me switch over to percentage change. So AMD basically flat, RPX slightly down, TNA slightly up, Lemonade up almost 8% today. But another standout of today being Kohl's, ticker KSS. I've been saying for quite a few videos now that I believe a short squeeze is going to happen or has already happened and is continuing on within a lot of clothing stocks, mainly Kohl's and American Eagle. But if you take a look at any clothing stock, I mean, Nike, you have Levi's, even Lululemon right now, I believe is struggling. But if we take a look at today's standouts, one of them is actually EA, and this has been kind of a sleeper stock this year. If we take a look at EA year to date, it started off the year at around 147, and this has been the price that EA has been hovering around for quite some time. Multiple years, EA has just been stagnant. Now let's take a look at the all-time. So as you can see, EA has been stagnant for a very long time. But then early on this year, it drops over 20%, and then it completely reverses it, basically up 20% this year. So it was down 20%, but now up 20%, and it has been slept on. I'm not gonna lie, the main reason why I own this stock is because I grew up on some EA games, and I just thought that EA would be an okay stock to hold. It pays a very small dividend, and like I said, the stock looks like it had been consolidating for quite some time. I knew that eventually the stock would have a breakout, but you just don't really know with these things. You can't really time them. But unfortunately, I have slept on it. I should have owned a lot more of it back when it crashed over 20%, but it is what it is. I have 10 shares. I'm up about 46% on. So, but if any of you guys scroll down to like my very, very early videos, I believe there is one really old video where I said, where I posted 2 stocks that I'm buying right now. And on the thumbnail, actually, it had a picture of Robinhood and a picture of EA. And, unfortunately, or fortunately, I went very heavy on one of them, being Robinhood. But unfortunately, I didn't go heavy enough into EA, especially when it dropped 20%. But it is what it is, still making good money, still year to date outperforming the market. So you can't win all of them. But something new that I wanted to try in this video that I haven't really done in previous videos, maybe I have here and there, but it was to answer some questions that I've been getting in the comments. So I think in future videos, I'm going to do a lot more interaction with you guys. I already like check the comments very regularly. If any of you guys have been longtime viewers, you would know that I reply to most of the comments, like 90% of them. You know, obviously I can't reply to every single one, but I think I'm going to take it a little bit further and actually like respond to them in a video. But before we get to that, just do a quick little transaction update like I always do, you know, full transparency with you guys. Nothing to update today. But now let's get to 3 questions that I'll answer in this video. So the first one being, congrats on holding long-term unrealized gains. Why isn't these massive? Okay, I think you're saying why isn't this massive gain been inside a Roth IRA? Wish you the best on capital gains taxes, from Tony. So to answer your question, Tony, honestly, I should have started a Roth IRA a long time ago. Like, I got into the stock market back when I was like 19, which was 2019, and I honestly should have started a Roth IRA immediately, but unfortunately I wasn't very like financially literate. I didn't really have anybody to teach me stocks or anything like that. Basically, when I was 19 years old, I saw an ad for Robinhood. I downloaded it. I was just BSing around the app, you know, like trading penny stocks and whatnot, just doing crazy stuff. I would also scroll around Reddit, like on Wall Street Bets, and just see some of the crazy trades they were placing. And I remember one a long time ago that I made an okay amount of money on. It was actually Delta Airlines, or one of the airlines, during the lockdowns, of course. And I day traded call options on it. And I think Trump announced some kind of bailout for them, and the stock popped immediately. So that's just one that I remember. But basically, you know, I was just doing stupid stuff. I wasn't really thinking about a Roth IRA or anything like that. But as to why I'm not really putting a lot of money into it right now, and this is kind of an excuse, I'll admit, but I kind of want to see how far I can take my $1,000 in the IRA, right? Because it's easy for somebody that consistently deposits money into their brokerage account to see their balance go up every single month, right? Which is probably what most of these like online content creators do, just to like help make that account balance look bigger over time. And honestly, it is what most people should do, like consistently invest and deposit money into like basic index funds. But I kind of like to challenge myself, I guess, but it's also halfway an excuse. But yeah, I did deposit $1,000 into my Roth IRA, and I'm basically just trying to see how much of that I can grow, or how fast I can grow that $1,000. So, you know, someday in the future, I'll be able to say, you know, if I could do this with $1,000, then anybody else can. But Chicken Joe asked, you should make informational videos too. I'm having a hard time understanding how to make money or how covered calls work. Speaking of covered calls, Chicken Joe, I actually just learned, I don't even know if this is true, but I just learned from Grok that loss wash doesn't apply to covered call rolling, because I always thought that if you realized a loss and then placed another trade on that stock within 30 days, either before or after, then you wash that loss away. But according to Grok, and obviously I shouldn't be using Grok as a financial advisor, just like you guys shouldn't be using me as a financial advisor, but I guess, I mean, if any of you guys are an accountant, please correct me in the comments down below. Like, just educate me on how exactly loss wash works, because obviously I've read the Google articles, right? I've Googled it and read the basic answer, and I've asked Grok. But if any of you guys watching this are legit accountants and you can like clearly explain it to me, I would highly appreciate that. But as to why I don't make more informational videos, well, there's really nothing too much to inform. I think I've made like 2 quote unquote informational videos in the past, which are like basic advice for beginners. And basically my advice is don't follow one thing or one person. Anybody can buy a stock during a bear market, make a bunch of money on it, and just seem like a genius, kind of like how I was buying a lot of Robinhood stock during the 2022 bear market. And now, some of you guys call me a genius or whatever, you say I'm super smart, and I appreciate that, but it's honestly just timing. Like, I just timed it well. I think it was my previous video, I explained why exactly I bought Robinhood, and it's just common sense. There's no indicator, there's no complicated Excel spreadsheet. I don't have a PhD in finance. I'm not throwing a whole bunch of crazy charts and tables at you. I'm just using common sense. And I think that's something that especially younger investors like myself, back when I was 19, I was like, trying to trade penny stocks, trying to outsmart the market. And I think it's just a phase that all of us just kind of go through. And it's better to get it out of the way early on when you're starting out. But yeah, it's honestly just time in the market, experience, and common sense. Common sense will keep you away from those crazy biotech penny stocks that pump like 10,000% in one day. And obviously it would be cool to make 10,000%, but let's be honest, how many biotech penny stocks do you have to buy to catch that one lucky unicorn? I just think it's so much easier, like during a bear market, whenever you see a handful of companies that you really like, and you're thinking, okay, fundamentally, these metrics that I care about, which is mostly, price to book value, free cash flow yield, like free cash flow per share, the share count trend, like do they have plans of doing stock buybacks? How does revenue look? Does it look like revenue is going to pick back up? How is their overall business looking? Like, does this kind of seem like the peak of their business? Like, there's not a whole lot much that they can do, or does this kind of seem like the beginning period where there's so much opportunity on the table and they just have to go after those opportunities? And is this stock hated on right now? Is there an opportunity that most of the market is overlooking because of their pure hatred for this company? And with all of that controversy, is this company this company is basically rent free in a lot of people's heads, and that company was Robinhood for me. All that controversy, and like I said before, controversy is not necessarily a bad thing. It contributes to your brand and the history, right? Like Robinhood had that history and that phase where people were mad at them because of the whole GME thing, even though it wasn't 100% their fault. They just unfortunately were just accused of. And it was also during a bear market, and the crypto market was it was not pretty. And all I really did was use common sense, And when it comes to you having a hard time making money, I mean, I'll show you guys again, because the next question from Jose, he asked, how much did you start with? I got some tips. I'm always up and down. I think you mean, do you have some tips? I'm always up and down, which kind of ties into what Chicken Joe is saying as to I'm having a hard time understanding how to make money. So I'll just go ahead and go back to Robinhood. All right, so now we're back on Robinhood. And as you guys can see, year to date, this chart looks really good. And if we look at the past year, it looks amazing, of course. And if you look at the all-time chart, of course, in more recent years, it looks amazing. But most of you guys probably are paying more attention to those big spikes that are a lot more recent, but you're not paying attention to this very, very long period of stagnation. And by the way, this is I did deposit $50,000 into Robinhood, but I'm not entirely sure how accurate this is, because I think this number moves around all the time, because I could have sworn in previous videos this number said 49,000 or something like that. But just for simplicity's sake, we'll just say 50K. And for many, many years, it was just no growth at all. I mean that's basically 1 year that passed right there. Basically nothing, 2%. That's not even inflation. And then during 2020, we kind of had that bump up a little bit, and 13%, 12%. That's barely inflation. And of course, we had that 2022 bear market, and I'm just completely stagnant. And there was a period where I actually risked, yeah, right here actually, I actually lost all of my progress. So 2023, from 2019, there was just no progress, and I actually lost money. And not just 5%, but I was also losing from inflation too. So keep in mind, inflation isn't counted in this total return. But then, of course, coming out of the bear market, slowly but surely, we started making money. I just kept holding and holding and holding and holding. And then, boom, we had that first major spike from Robinhood, another second spike from Robinhood. And then, of course, we had that correction where I actually went back under 100K, and I was in the 80s. And I actually remember dipping into the 70s, unfortunately, during that time. But then, of course, we're just up from there. So Chicken Joe and Jose, to answer your guys' questions, I did start with 50K, and there was a very, very long period of stagnation. But what I did was, during that bear market, 2022, 2023, right? During that bear market, I said, okay, I'm going to stop with all this craziness. I was like constantly switching strategies. I was trying like options and penny stocks. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to stop that. And then I'm going to try to do the wheel strategy, right? And that contributed to my stagnation, because when I sell a covered call, I'm capping all of my gains. And then when I'm selling cash secured puts, like, okay, maybe I am buying stocks that I think are undervalued, but they keep going down and they keep going down, and I'm just bag holding. So I'm just constantly flipping back and forth different strategies. But then during this bear market, I said, okay, I'm just gonna like stop everything, right? I am officially losing money on my all-time chart. I'm just gonna stop everything, take a deep breath, and just pick a handful of stocks that I really like. And I don't remember fully everything I bought. Maybe I can look at my statements, but one of them was obviously Robinhood. I also bought Palantir, of course. I also bought PayPal, and I think the other one was SoFi. And I said, okay, I'm just gonna buy these, and I'm just gonna hold. All right, I'm not gonna sell any covered calls. I'm not gonna switch strategies. I'm not gonna do all this craziness. And obviously now I am starting to sell covered calls, because I actually think we're getting close to that top period. Like I've said before, we could still see one more leg up. But coming out of the bear market, I said, all right, I'm not going to switch strategies or anything like that. I'm not going to try to get cute or try to do anything fancy. I'm just going to hold to these companies that I think are really good. And fortunately for me, two of the stocks that I picked are some of the top performing stocks in recent years. Robinhood and Palantir, those are, if you look at the top performing stocks in like the past 3 years or something like that, I think two out of those top stocks is Robinhood and Palantir, and I just got lucky. So to answer your question, Chicken Joe, it honestly it takes time. It takes time and timing. So you need time, of course, to gain experience, but then you also need that timing of a bear market, right? And the timing for me was that 2022 bear market. Robinhood, Palantir, SoFi, they were all down, and then I bought them. And if it feels like you're not making too much money right now, it's probably because you're kind of in that same period as I was, like during this period right here, the stagnant period. So even though we're in a bull market, you just kind of feel stagnant, or you are stagnant because maybe you're switching strategies, or you're buying stocks that have already gone up a lot. But most of the gains that you see here are honestly from bear markets. You just have to basically hunker down during these bear markets, and that's where most of the money is made.